Good day everyone. Welcome to our episode of Usang Panghanap Buhay. I will discuss to you tests to determine employer-employer relationship. Okay. But first, we have to define kung ano ba ang tinatawag na employer. No? So, includes any person acting in the interest of an employee, directly or indirectly. No? That term shall not include any labor organization or any of its officers or agents except when acting as employer. Okay, so that is defined under the Labor Code, Article 219. Ano po itong Labor Code? Ito po yung batas na sinusundan ng bawat isang nagpapatrabaho, no? At saka din ng nagtatrabaho. No? Employee, ano naman ibig sabihin ng employee? Includes any person in the employ of an employer. No, the term shall not be limited to the employees of a particular employer unless the code so explicitly states. It shall include any individual whose work has ceased as a result of or in connection with any current labor dispute or because of any unfair labor practice if he has not obtained any other substantially equivalent and regular employment. Labor Code 219. So, ang employee, ito yung nagtatrabaho para sa employer. No? Okay. So, it is axiomatic that the existence of an employer-employer relationship cannot be negated by expressly repudiating it in the management contract and providing therein that the employee is an independent contractor when the terms of agreement clearly show otherwise. For the employment status of a person is defined and prescribed by law and not by what the parties say it should be. No? So insurance life, assurance company versus NLRC G.R. number 11930, 1998. No? So bakit po napaka-importante na i-define natin kung may employer-employer relationship? Because nandoon na po yung i-demand na natin yung obligasyon, i-enforce na natin yung obligation and responsibility po ng bawat isa. Ano ba ang responsibilidad ng employee magtrabaho para sa employer? Ano naman ang responsibilidad ng employer sa employee? Ibigay yung kaukulang bayad, ang kaukulang benepisyo para po sa employee. Okay, so contractual in nature, ang relationship po ng employer sa kanang empleyado ay may kontrata, no? Contractual in nature. Why? The relationship is contractual in nature because it may be an oral or written contract which is necessary for the creation and validity of the relationship, no? Ang jurisprudence po dito is the Compañía Maritima versus Ernesta Cabagnot, Viuda de Hihio. No? GR number L10675, 1960. No? So, contractual siya in nature. Why? Kasi yun na nga sabi natin, may mga enforceable na mga obligations, no, and responsibilities. So, conditional employment, an employment contract, like any other contract, is perfected at the moment the parties came to agree upon its terms and conditions and thereafter concur in the essential elements thereof. In Sagon versus ANC Global Services, the court ruled that there was already a perfected contract of employment when Sagon signed ANC employment offer and agreed to the terms and conditions that were embodied therein. Nonetheless, the offer of employment extended to Sagon contained several conditions before he may be deemed an employee of ANC. Accordingly, Sagon's employment depended on the outcome of his background check, which partakes of the nature of a suspensive condition and hence renders the obligation of the would-be employer, ANC, in this case, conditional. Jurisprudence states that when a contract is subject to a suspensive condition, its effectivity shall take place only if and when the event which constitutes the condition happens or is fulfilled. Considering, however, that Sagon failed to comply with his obligations, ANC's obligations as a would-be employer were held in suspense and thus had yet to acquire any obligatory force Sagod versus ANC Global Services, GR number 220399-2016, no? So pagka ang sabi natin na contractual in nature, pagka ang kontrata meron pang mga conditions, no? So susundin mo na yung conditions bago mo masabi na employee ang isang nagtatrabaho para sa employer. Authority of the DOLE, Secretary to determine employer-employee relationship, no? So sino ang magde-determine kung may employer-employee relationship in case of doubt or in case of conflict, no? Bawa hindi talaga ma-determine. So sino magde-decide? The DOLE Secretary has the authority to determine the existence of an employer-employee relationship, no? Under Article 128B of the Labor Code as amended by Republic Act 7330, the DOLE is fully empowered to make a determination as to the exercise of an employer-employer relationship in the exercise of its visitorial and enforcement power, subject to judicial review, not review by the NLRC. So, judicial review, court na. So, People's Broadcasting Service versus Secretary of Labor, GR 1796552-2012, no? So yung may authority lang na magsabi na mayroong employer-employer relationship is the DOLE Secretary, no? So what are the fourfold tests, no, ng employer-employer relationship? Yung apat na fourfold test. Number 1, selection and engagement of the employee. So sino mamili at mag-engage ng employee? Of course, the employer, no? Sino ba yung has the power to select the employee? The employer. Employment relation arises from contract of hire, express or implied, no? Selection and engagement of the workers rest with the employer. So sila talaga ang namimili. Number 2, payment of wages or salaries, no? So una, yung sino ba yung may right na mamili? The employer. Pangalawa, ano pa na test? Payment of wages or salaries, no? So, empleyado mo yung isang tao, nagbabayad ka sa kanya ng sweldo, no? So, who pays the employee's wages, no? The mode of paying the salary or compensation of a worker does not preclude existence of employer-employee relationship, no? Not a conclusive test since it can be avoided by the use of subcontracting agreements or other contracts other than employment contracts, no? May iba kasi na tinitwist nila kaya hindi na siya naging conclusive test itong payment of wages or salaries. Payment of compensation by way of commission does not militate against the conclusion that employer-employer relationship exists. Why? Kasi posible din na empleyado ka at the same time nag-earn ka ng commission, no? So, under Article 97 of the Labor Code, wage shall mean however designated capable of being expressed in terms of money, whether fixed or ascertained on a time, task, price, or commission basis, no? This is Insular Life Assurance Company Limited versus NLRC G.R. number 119930-1998, no? Then we have employer-employee relationship not determined by basis of employee's compensation. Labor Congress and LRC, GR number 123-938-1998. The third na test kung employee ba talaga ang isang tao, no? Power of dismissal or firing. Sino ba yung may power of dismissal na paalisin ang employee? No? So what's the power to dismiss the employee? It's the employer. Disciplinary power exercised by employer over the worker and the corresponding sanction imposed in case of any violation of any rules and regulations, no? So the power of the dismissal is the third test, no? Then the power to control over employees. Ito na yung sabi natin na sino ba ang may power to control the employee? It's the employer. Kaya ito yung tinatawag natin na control test, no? So, who exercise control over the methods and results by which the work of the employee is accomplished? It's the employer. No? The most important factor is the control test. No? This test is premised on whether the person for whom the services are performed reserves the right to control both the end achieved and the manner and means used to achieve the end. Reyes versus Glaucoma Research Foundation, Inc., GR number 189255-2015. No? So, the control test controls for the existence of the right to control the manner of doing the work, not the actual exercise of the right. D.K. Beng versus International Labor and Marine Union of the Philippines, G.R. number L 32245, 1979. There could be no employer-employer relationship where the element of control is absent, where a person who works for another does so more or less at his own pleasure and is not subject to definite hours or conditions of work, and in turn is compensated according to the result of his efforts and not the amount thereof. We should not find that the relationship of employer-employer relationship exists. No? Philippines Broadcasting Network, Inc. versus NLRC G.R. number 118892, 1998. So, wala talagang employer-employer relationship kung walang element of control. Ibig sabihin, hindi nakokontrol ng employer ang empleyado. So, balikan na po natin bakit napaka-importante that we have to determine kung merong employer-employer relationship po tayo sa ating pinagtatrabahuan so that malaman natin ngayon kung ano yung mga obligasyon ng bawat isa. Obligasyon ng empleyado at higit sa lahat yung obligasyon din ng employer. So, ano-ano yung mga obligasyon na yun? Payment of wages, yung payment ng mga benefits, saka yung mga benepisyo na dapat talaga statutory under the law ibibigay ng employer sa kanyang empleyado. In case of dispute, sino ang magdedetermine kung may employer-employer relationship? It's the Department of Labor or the DOLE Secretary. Okay, so this is our fault today and hope nakapagdala kami sa inyo ng mga information about sa usapang hanap buhay. So please click and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and good